Good morning, Forest View, or good afternoon, whenever your teacher might be showing you this. I know in the past, students, you've come down to the Arts and Science room, and I've been in there and I've talked about bus behavior and maybe classroom behavior, and we've had you go and talk to Mr. Suka by the second grade bathrooms, and he's talked about bathrooms, and we've had noon duty staff talk to you about playground rules. We're doing things a little bit different this year. Mr. Sukup and I are going to make videos, and we're going to just explain some of those rules and regulations that we want to discuss with every class, and your teacher will show the video. So my job today is to talk to you about bus behavior, and also just a reminder about the playground and cafeteria as well. So I know it's been kind of a different start to the year, and with COVID, we've done a great job so far making sure that we're washing our hands and keeping everybody safe. I know the buses have been kind of thin. There have not been as many kids on the buses as we normally have had, but just a quick reminder that always follow the bus rules. So those bus drivers have usually rules posted up on their buses in the front. Make sure that you're following those rules. And this year, for sure, make sure that you are wearing your masks on the bus. That's really, really important as well. So the big things that I always talk about bus rules is making sure that your voice levels are down. I know we talk about usually using about a 2 voice level, that you can have a normal conversation with somebody. And when we're using our voice, we're also using it saying caring words. We're not being mean. We're not picking on kids. We're just having normal conversations on the bus. Always making sure that you're listening to those bus drivers, following those bus rules. Two of my biggest things that I always like to talk about on the bus is you need to stay in your seat. It is very critical that you stay seated on that bus. If you are up on your knees and that bus driver has to slam on the brakes, you're going to get hurt. And if you stay on your sitter on the bus seats, it'll be all safe. And if the bus driver has to slam on those brakes, you'll be a lot safer when you're seated on your sitter. The other thing is to make sure that you stay seated while that bus is moving. There is no reason for you to get out of your seat until that bus stops and the bus driver gives you permission to walk off the bus. And the key word there is to walk. Make sure that there's no running on the bus. The other important thing is making sure that you're keeping your hands and your feet to yourself. Those feet need to be underneath the seat where you are, not dangling in the aisle so that people can't walk through the middle of the bus. They need to be able to walk, and they won't be able to if you're sitting with your feet and your hands in the middle of the aisle. So you should be sitting straight forward on your sitter. Make sure that you're doing that till that bus driver tells you it's okay. So if you follow those main rules, those are the big ones. I want everybody to stay safe on that bus, and make sure that if you do have any issues and kids are saying things to you, you need to let that bus driver know, so the bus driver will let me know. Okay? Classroom rules, as far as those go, I'm just going to stick with listen to your teachers. Your classroom teachers will be going over classroom rules, I'm sure, all week long. Make sure that you're following those rules from your classroom teachers. Make sure you're following them from Mrs. Hogan in music, Mr. McDonald at Fayed, and Mrs. Larson at media. Those rules should all be followed. Any adult that has a rule for you, you need to follow those rules. Outside, we have very important people outside too. We have the recess teachers, I like to call them, our noon duty staff. And when they are with you at lunchtime or at the playground, you need to follow those rules as well. Obviously, lunch and recess are looking a little bit different this year. Most of you are eating your lunches in your classroom. The biggest thing is follow those rules that you would follow in the cafeteria. Don't forget about your please and thank yous. Your voice level should be down. With one class in the room, it should be fairly quiet. The most important thing is clean up your space. That is huge. You need to make sure that you keep your area clean, and you need to only eat your own food, all right? Especially with COVID going on right now, we do not need to be sharing any food. Make sure that you're eating only your food, you're cleaning up your space, you're waiting your turn, you're following all the regular classroom rules that you would while you're eating lunch. Recess, I know we have broken down the playground into 5 separate areas. You have the playground area, you have the blacktop area, you have the blacktop area where the basketball hoops are, and there are a couple fields. You need to stay with your class and where you're told that you need to stay together with out there at recess time. You should have your same noon duty teacher that you have when you have lunch. So if you have any issues or you need to talk to somebody about certain things that are happening, make sure that you talk to your noon duty teacher so that they can talk to your classroom teacher as well. Okay? It is also important with your masks. During recess, you do not have to wear your masks. And we have certain areas in the building where we've hung hooks, and you will need to hang your masks on the hooks before you go outside. Or you can put your mask in your pocket so that you don't forget it when you come back in. Or you can also hang the mask off of the top of the fence by the playground. There are kind of little hangers there, and you could do that as well. I have given permission to a couple classrooms that they can go outside without taking their masks outside because they are right next to the door. So those classes know who you are. Make sure that you're following that rule. Make sure that those masks come right back on when you're back in the building. Just a couple other basic rules, you guys. I just want you to make sure that you can try to follow the social distance rules. Try to stay 6 feet away from each other. You'll notice in the hallways there are little red banners hanging. They're hanging every 6 feet. So when you're walking in the hall and your classroom teacher says you're getting a little close, you can sneak a peek and look up at the ceiling and you'll see those red banners hanging, and you can kind of spread yourself out. Also, you guys, it's very, very, very important that you wash your hands. Make sure you're washing your hands before you go to Phi-Ed and music and media. And when you come back from there, you should be doing that as well. Listening to your teachers, making sure that you're washing your hands when you have times to do that in the classroom. There have also been designated times where you can take a bathroom break with your classroom. And so make sure that you're following the rules when your classroom teacher is having you do that as well. So there's a lot of rules to follow, but I sure am excited to have everybody back in the building, and I hope that the rules that we talked about here make sense. If you have any questions, talk to your teacher, and then if your teacher needs to talk to me, they can come and talk to me about the questions that they have. So with that, I am going to sign out and going to try to figure out how to upload this again to YouTube so I can send this to your teachers so that they can show it to you by the end of the week. I hope you guys are having a great start to the year, and like I said, so happy to have you back. Bye, Forest View.